Yeah, good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. I'm Commissioner Bud Blake, the chair of the board this year. I'd like to start off by doing introductions. To my left is Commissioner Edwards. To my right is Commissioner Hutchings. To his right is Clerk of the Board, Labanita Bomar. And to her right is the County Manager, Ramiro Chavez. And to his right is the Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, Elizabeth Petrich. With that in mind, I'll ask Commissioner Hutchings to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. We have Mr. Larry Weaver begin the pledge for us to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Larry.
All righty, with that in mind, I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a motion to approve today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve today's agenda, March 14, 2017.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to approve the Tuesday, March 14th, 2017 agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. And so have the board take a motion for the board minutes for February 28th, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the board meeting minutes from February 28, 2017.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from February 28, 2017. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, so one of the items we have on here is the presentation we normally do, and I'd like to call up Mary Ann Clear, who is the Director of the Pretrial Services, and she is going to introduce a new employee we have, and we're super excited about having our new employee introduction. Hi, Mary Ann. How are you doing?
Hello, Board. Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah. Speak into the mic just a little bit more. There you go. Louder.
Thank you for having me here today, Board.
There you go.
Roman, I would like to introduce you to our Board of County Commissioners. This is Mr. Roman Rideout. We're very fortunate to have him here as our new pretrial program specialist, too, in Thurston County. He has a master's degree in criminal justice, and he's worked in several states in pretrial, most recently in Santa Clara County in California. He's also worked in New Mexico and in the correction system for the federal. He also has been in Reno, and he's been an asset to us since he got here last Monday, I believe. It was on the 6th. He's already been working on reports for the court. I noticed that they have a high level of detail. They've been accurate. They don't have any typos on them. Seems to be a quick learner, and grateful to have him here. So I wanted to introduce him to you all, and thank you for having him here.
You bet. And how are you taking it so far with the weather here and adjusting to the climate there, Roland?
Well, I was glad to get this position. It does change a lot of things professionally and personally. So I'm definitely glad to be here.
Yeah.
Very glad to be here.
Sure. And does the weather help you with the typos and not having those? Is that what it is?
Let's see about that.
Okay. You have a comment?
No, I'm just looking forward to the jail population going down now.
Can you help us there? It's all on you now.
Good move in moving to Olympia, Washington, and it's going to be our benefit. It's nice to see you, because I saw your name earlier, Roman Rideout. You sound like an action figure. I think that's pretty cool for us. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Marion. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Yeah. All righty. So the next item we have on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the board. And what we do here normally is 3 minutes, and I'll ask Labanita to explain how that works. And then I have the list here for those who wish to come to the podium and address the board. And if you have it, fear not, I'll give a moment for call out to the audience to see if there's any last-minute takers. So with that in mind, I'll ask Labanita to explain how the 3 minutes works.
I have a 3-minute clock that begins with a green light. Lift it up a little bit. There you go. It's a green light. It lasts for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You will then see a yellow light for 30 seconds, and when you see the red light, it means your time is up.
Yeah, okay. So the first person I have is there Mr. Greg Mueller? And, yeah, come on up, sir, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Just tell us where you're from in the county in general and your name.
Sure, Thurston County, South Bay area. I'm a realtor in the neighborhood for the last 20
Okay,
years.
great, sure. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak today very much. I appreciate it. I'm here today to give the commissioners an idea, essentially to help the county. The commissioners ran for office with a goal to bring some common sense to the county. I have 20 years of experience in working with the county permit center here. I'd like to share a common sense idea that the commissioners can do to save jobs and thousands of dollars for our community. The common sense idea is to save time with the permit review process. The easy common sense place the commissioners can apply this is in the review time for applications. In a nutshell, the departments do not need the same 100-day review time for every application. It is common sense that some applications are easier than others. Therefore, not all applications need the same 100-day review time that they take. Some applications, like a change in use to an existing building, can be very easy to review. Since the building's already built, you do not need the same 100 days to review that change. From my experience, the commissioners have some really good people to work with here at the county. And the permit center's been tremendous. They really have some good people that I've worked with in the last 20 years here. And I'm sure all of them like to save jobs and money for the county as well. So the common sense thing I suggest for the commissioners to work with the staff to shorten review times. May I give you an example of a prior project that you can use to base that on. I recently finished construction of a new building in the county. It took 6 years of review time to get the building permit. As you can imagine, it's been reviewed quite well. You would think a small change would go quickly, especially with a new completed building. So last year I requested a change in use to help a group of kids that need a place to go to school. Although 6 months later, after spending thousands more dollars in new application fees and waiting months and months of more review time, to find out the only difference, the only true change needed is a water fountain. And I'm still waiting. Here I am standing before you 6 months later. The kids are still not able to go to school. The teachers have not been able to start their jobs. And I'm about to lose my building to the bank. All because of a water fountain. In an unrealistic review time that I'm begging the commissioners to add some common sense to. Thank you.
Sure. Do you have contact information? Can you give him that info?
It's on the sheet, but I can give you
Okay,
more.
sure. So once she has it, we're good.
Thank you.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much, Greg. All right, the next person or persons is Steve and Debbie McLean. Are you coming up together or separate? Okay, sure.
Good afternoon. We've been here before, and we're back again to ask for what we've been asking for months now, which is to approve a way forward in the gopher situation so we can build our house. We've got 8.2 acres. We're just trying to build a house on it. We have jumped through every hoop that's imaginable, and we've been patient, but we're done with being patient. This has really been a ridiculous process. And several of you ran for office saying you were going to deal with this issue. Took office in January, and it is now March. And we're no closer to building our house now than we were 6 months ago when we started working with the county. And everybody points their finger at the federal government. We've reached an agreement with the federal government that requires really the county to just do one thing. Agree for us to pay for an inspection that you would do once a year to verify we haven't changed the land that we are dedicating to gophers. That's all we're asking for you to do. A policy that makes it simple. We've agreed to pay all the costs to give up an acre of value in our property and meet every other requirement, including maintaining the property. You estimate that it would cost $45,000 to maintain that same acre if the county owned it. We're saying it'll cost you nothing, and in fact, you'll make money because we're going to pay for an inspection once a year. And you won't have to do anything to maintain that property. You've got a policy that was drafted in front of you. It's my understanding that for some reason, some of you are uncomfortable with that policy. We'd like to know who. We can't fix problems we don't understand. And if you're uncomfortable with that policy, I'd like to know what that uncomfortableness is so that we can get a decision and move forward with our construction. It's costing us over $10,000 to build this house now that it wouldn't have cost us had we been able to start. Our interest rate, as you know, we're going up. And if we had started this house when we should have been able to start it, we would have already saved money. Not only that, but I've taken countless hours of time away from my job to come here and talk to you and attend meetings to try and solve this issue. I've done everything you've asked. I've met with each one of you individually. I've met with your staff individually. All we're asking is for you to take action now. We don't understand why you need to wait. My understanding is maybe you'll consider this Tuesday. All we've heard since we've started this process is we'll get to it. We were told 3 weeks ago in a planning meeting that you weren't going to put this in a parking lot and wait another month. But here we are. 3 weeks later, no decision.
Okay.
The month's coming up.
Yeah. Thank you,
You
sir.
said to my wife
Can
that you
go
wouldn't
ahead and
deal
wrap
with
it up for me, sir. Yeah. Mhm.
So I'd love to hear if there are reasons why you can't act on this now.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much. Mhm. All right, go ahead, Romero.
Thank you, Commissioners. And just to give you a little bit of a background, I believe what you have gone through is in trying to build a home in your property, I believe 9 acres. And as a result of that process, they found some pocket gophers. And the county at this point doesn't have a process as to how we can permit that until we have a habitat conservation plan, which we're currently working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So you had the option to go through and do your own habitat conservation plan, which you did. And as a result of that process, the mitigation requirements from U.S. Fish and Wildlife is to reserve a portion of your property in order to mitigate the impacts of building your home. One of the requirements from U.S. Fish and Wildlife is correct that a third party should take ownership and responsibility to inspect and provide a reporting to U.S. Fish and Wildlife just to ensure that reservation meets the intent of that mitigation requirements. So you did approach the county, and you and I had a conversation at the beginning. And my response was that we need to have a policy in place. Although your situation that I truly understand, and I feel for you and your wife, and I believe I can attest that from the commissioner's perspective as well. We need to make sure that we have a policy that accommodates others that perhaps may be in your same situation. And as we move along, there is a very complex issue related to the HCP, the Habitat Conservation Plan the county is currently going on. And you participated on that day-long planning session with U.S. Fish and Wildlife representatives were part of that planning session. So as a result of that, staff drafted a draft policy, which it was introduced, was released last week, I believe. But before I can introduce any particular policy in front of the commissioners, we need to have the prosecuting attorneys review just to make sure the commissioners feel comfortable within that context. Elizabeth went through that review, and it was finalized this morning. And this morning, I just introduced this policy to the commissioners. As you can imagine, that policy is complex. The commissioners need to take some time to think about the consequences of that. I don't believe the commissioners have put this in a parking lot. I believe the commissioners have given themselves some time to think until next Tuesday as to what the next steps will be related to this particular policy. I will introduce on their agenda next Tuesday just to have yet another conversation of that. And at that point, we'll know how the commission will feel and as to how the policy will move forward.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay. So the next person I have on my list is Ms. Donna Smith.
What a pleasure to speak in front of you, new commissioners,
Can
today.
you say what part of the county you're from?
I am from South Thurston County, Rochester to be exact, Gate City out off of Mima Prairie. I'm fascinated by the policy. Policies can be good, they can be bad, but they are policies. Make decisions, make policies which benefit your population. The people who spoke in front of me just lost $30,000 value in their property. They gave up an acre. The only requirement they have is for someone to take ownership, as Mr. Romero indicated, to inspect the property once a year. Give me a title. I'll take ownership. I'll go inspect his property. Figure it out. Make a policy. That is ridiculous that people like this have to sit and wait. The entire burden of proof regarding the Mazama pocket gopher as an endangered species appears to be in direct opposition of our court systems, which require that the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt. This has created a huge impact on those of us who are tasked with adhering to our community's need for fair and affordable housing. In reviewing the boundaries that were put in place to determine which landowners would be impacted and charged fees to save the gophers, I found it interesting that Black River is a defining feature, west of which pocket gophers are not considered. I reviewed the soils. Mima Road is west of the Black River, and the majority of those soils are Spanaway Nisqually complex soils, which according to Thurston County permitting is the highest gopher preferred soil. Weyerhaeuser Tree Farm is on Gate Mima Road. Why is it that the large corporations are exempted from these regulations while those small landowners, such as the people who just spoke in front of me, carry the burden? In speaking with Pierce County Planning, who are also listed as having these species, it appears that they have no procedure in place nor any interest in placing such a procedure, such as Thurston County has. Oddly enough, the role of Thurston County in bringing the pocket gopher up for consideration as a threatened species appears to conflict with the Department of Agriculture's role in previously offering bounties for dead gophers. In addition, I personally find Thurston County in violation of fair housing, in which we humans are also entitled to reasonable expectations that we can live on the land we purchased. The cost and time being charged to small landowners due to the current county regulations is an abuse of power. I'm
going to ask you to finish up real quick.
I ask that you consider the 50 years of documentation as outlined by the following speaker and placed for your consideration in this book, and that you consider the abuse of power. This is not an issue that is beyond reasonable doubt. It is a conflict between United States Department of Agriculture and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, next person is Mr. Larry Weaver.
Commissioners,
How you doing?
I'm Larry Weaver from Rochester, Washington. I'd like to follow up with some of the documentation, some excerpts from the documentation starting in 1962 that was from United States Department of Agriculture. U.S. Fish and Wildlife represents that pocket gophers are fragile, delicate, and endangered. In direct contrast, United States Department of Agriculture indicates from over 50 years of studies that these rodents are nearly invincible and virtually impossible to control. A few excerpts. From 1962, None are more adaptable either to natural extremes of habitat or changed conditions by agriculture development and other man-made environmental conditions. From 1970, in the Pacific Northwest, 2 species believed to be responsible for the most damage are the northern and Mazama pocket gopher. In 1976, pocket gopher populations are dynamic. Pocket gophers reproduce well and rapidly reinvade. In 1982, poison test studies on Mazama pocket gophers conducted on sites owned by J. Holford Company in Olympia and at DNR sites on 93rd Street near Tumwater. 1984, tests with strychnine-treated oats for Mazama pocket gophers, work carried out in Olympia, Washington. In 1990, one of the largest problems in pocket gopher control is maintaining populations at low level. The remaining population is likely to recover rapidly. Studies conducted in the Pacific Northwest. Strychnine seems to be failing to give the high degree of control, indicating an acquired tolerance in gophers. Weyerhaeuser in Centralia, Washington helped to support this study. In 1992, United States Department of Agriculture office in Olympia provided trapping protocol and technical assistance for paying bounties on pocket gophers. In that study, 3,626 pocket gophers were killed. Repeated treatments may be required within 1 year because rapid reinvasions of burrow systems, as per the USDA office on 93rd Street in Olympia, Washington. 1995, field testing of poisoning methods done at the Department of Natural Resources Meridian Seed Orchard in Thurston County, occupied by pocket gopher. 1999, efforts to reduce populations must be repeated, usually on an annual basis because of the high productive rate of reinvading animals. In 2007, pocket gopher populations reduced with traps or poisons typically recover within a year to pre-control levels. In 2017, efforts to identify alternative baits to replace strychnine, as gophers in some areas have developed a resistance. While the United States Department of Agriculture concludes through over 50 years of studies that pocket gophers are virtually invincible and impossible to get rid of, Department of Fish and Wildlife is trying to convince us how fragile and delicate they are and why property owners need to give up their land and Thurston County taxpayers need to spend as much as $151 million to preserve them. I'd ask that you commissioners recognize that the conflict isn't between gophers and landowners, but is a conflict between 2 behemoth governmental agencies, USDA and the United States Department of Fish and Wildlife. Please have U.S. Fish and Wildlife avoid putting the blame on landowners, people who want to build houses, and maybe place the blame squarely on USDA, where the blame belongs.
Thank you so much for your words. Thank you. So the next person I have on my list did not indicate yes or no, but I just got to ask, does Mr. Larry Mills wish to testify? Larry Mills. Is there a Larry Mills there? No. So I'll just ask the audience in general, does anyone want to come to the podium and testify? Say anything? No? Okay, good. So we'll move on with the agenda, and currently we are at the consent, county manager's update.
I don't have any updates for you, commissioners.
That's pretty quick. Got that one. Consent items. Is there a motion to approve the consent items, A through H?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve consent items A through H.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to approve the consent items A through H. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. And so the next item we have is department items, which is resource stewardship. And on that, it's Jeremy Davis. There he is. How you doing, Jeremy?
Good afternoon, Chair Blake, Commissioners.
What do you got today?
Jeremy Davis, Resource Stewardship, Long Range Planning. Today I'm requesting the Commissioners amend the 2016-2017 Official Development Code docket to add item A13, which would review the newly adopted impervious surface standards in the residential sensitive resource zone in the Tumwater Urban Growth Area, to the implementation of the recently adopted LID standards. We found that the standard that was adopted for that is incompatible with larger lot sizes. It has an overall limit of 7,500 square feet, which leads to only an impervious surface coverage of like 1 3/4% on a 10-acre lot. And so what we're proposing is add this to the docket to allow us to go to Planning Commission and work with the City of Tumwater to come up with reasonable measures for larger lot sizes in that zoning district.
Okay, any questions of Jeremy?
Sounds like we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. With that in mind, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to amend the 2016-17 Official Development Code docket to add A13, amend impervious surface standards in the residential sensitive resource zone in the unincorporated Tumwater urban growth area.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jeremy. So the next item is from Mr. Jim Bachmeyer from Water Resource Program, or is Pat coming up? Okay, Pat, how you doing? You're going to talk to us about a contract?
Yes, Commissioners, today I'd like to request that the board authorize the Director of Resource Stewardship to execute a professional services contract with Herrera Environmental Consultants to provide engineering and professional services for the stormwater utility. This would be a up to 3-year contract in the amount of $250,000 per year. The board was briefed on this, the previous board was briefed in October 19th of 2016, and the current board was briefed on this project February 15th of 2017. The primary objective here is we have a need to support our capital program, help us identify where to put stormwater retrofit projects that can help alleviate localized flooding, provide water quality treatment and such. That's the primary. We also plan to use this contract for other smaller work items as they emerge within the stormwater utility.
Where's the money coming from?
The stormwater utility has this money already budgeted. The major work items were included in our capital facilities plan and the 6-year financial plan for that. So no general fund monies are required for this contract.
Thank you.
And did you mention the amount and the duration by chance?
$250,000 per year for up to 3 years. It's renewable. If the consultant's not performing adequately, we can cancel it.
Sure. You have any questions?
No, I don't.
Yep, sure. Any other? No. Okay, with that in mind, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the Director of Resource Stewardship to execute a professional services contract with Herrera Environmental Consultants to provide engineering and other professional services to the stormwater utility in an amount not to exceed $250,000 per year for up to 3 years.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor of aye, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. There you go. Do you have another one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another contract.
Again, Pat Allen from the Stormwater Utility, Senior Civil Engineer.
Oh, you didn't change. Okay, good.
Requesting the board to authorize the Director of Resource Stewardship to execute a professional services contract with Thurston County Regional Planning Council to update the county's flood hazard mitigation plan. The contract amount would be $67,000 plus a 10% contingency for a total contract amount not to exceed $73,700. The board was briefed on this project on March 2nd of this year. The stormwater utility does have funds within its budget to pay for this effort, and no general funding would be required. The main objective of the flood hazard management plan, we're required to keep it updated every 5 years, and that's important for two main reasons. One is it keeps us eligible for certain grants and programs that the state offers occasionally related to flood hazard mitigation. More importantly is keeping it current so that we meet the community rating system program requirements. Right now, we're considered a community rating system Class 2 community. There's only one other community in the country that has a higher or better rating than a Class 2. There's 5 others that have the same rating. But unless we have a current flood hazard management plan, we can't maintain a Class 2. We'd have to drop to a Class 5. And that's important because as a Class 2, people that buy flood insurance get a 40% discount. If we drop to a Class 5, that discount would drop to a 25%. So that's really the driver on this.
Good.
You have any questions?
No, I don't.
No? Okay, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the Director of Resource Stewardship to execute a professional services contract with the TRPC, the Thurston Regional Planning Council, to update the county's flood hazard mitigation plan, or the FHMP, in an amount of $67,000 and a 10% contingency amount of $6,700 for a total contract amount not to exceed $73,700.
I'll second that.
So it's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you,
Pat.
Commissioner.
Very good. So the first item on the agenda is for county commissioners to talk about some of the work sessions and committee assignments they have or anything that's on their mind. And we'll start with Commissioner Hutchings.
I attended the Tenino City Council meeting on the 28th of this month. And on the first, I attended as a guest Margaret McKinney Elementary School. They had a science fair for their 5th grade classes, and I was a judge for the event, one of the many judges. I attended the Community Youth Services Have a Heart for Kids breakfast. Exceptionally moving to hear the success stories of juveniles that were homeless and drug addicted and sexually and physically abused, and what they have now through CYS, how they've really made something of their lives. Exceptionally moving, and goes towards that theory of hope that John Thunheim talks so much about as well. I attended the TRPC, Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting, and they talked quite a bit about high friction surfacing that will be coming to our roads, certain sections of our roads out in the rural areas around curves and such, to increase friction for vehicles and bicyclists, but also reduce fatal and serious injury accidents. Attended the Thurston County Chamber Foundation's Night on the Town, their annual fundraiser, and I sat with Pack Mountain at their table, which is a workforce agency. I did a tour of a juvenile detention and their Seeds of Change, where they have taken kids that are incarcerated and on probation and have created a garden. It was showcased here in this commission room and on King 5 News sometime mid last year, I believe. And seeing it firsthand is it's quite impressive how these kids are growing vegetables, fruit and vegetables, packaging up over 100 pounds of goods and taking them to our local food banks. And they're seeing for the first time their efforts and how they're impacting other people who are seemingly, per their words, more needy than they themselves are as kids in jail or in detention. Very, very moving. Attended the Transportation Policy Board and the ORCA, which is the Olympic Region Clean Air Agency, and they're applying for a grant to study our clean air in Thurston County. Attended LOT as a board member on the LOT treatment plant, and I was brought up to speed on how we are not going to suffer, and oh boy, I shouldn't say this, the same kind of inflictions that West Point and Seattle and some of the other LOT treatment plants up north are suffering with raw sewage going in the drink. Animal Services, we said goodbye to Jeff Gadman. Met with the new director, Mark Daly of the TRPC. Very nice guy. And attended the CIP meeting yesterday, which is the Community Investment Partnership. And we're putting out the word now, request for proposal for the nonprofits, the people that come in and deal with and provide services of food, fair and affordable housing, and children's needs. And then May 8th, we'll be dispersing money to those organizations as well. Attended the South Sound Parent-to-Parent Champions of Courage annual fundraiser at the Children's Hands-On Museum. Again, a very worthwhile organization. And attended Lacey Mental Health Court graduation. It was here in our courthouse, but it was a graduate from Lacey, a former drug user in Lacey, but they go through our court. Thank you, sir.
Busy man. Commissioner Edwards?
Talked to a lot of fellows and ladies this last week out in the community. And the main topics of conversation was the gopher and actually the environment. That had to do with Nisqually River and the Puget Sound. But I would encourage people to take a look at our state constitution. Under Article 1, Section 16, under eminent domain, it says if we are going to damage any property, take or damage is being the big word, that we are to compensate those citizens that are being damaged. on this whole gopher thing, I kind of find it hard to believe that this has been festering for a couple of years like this without much headway. And I have to say that probably the biggest conflict that I see is the Department of Interior, which is protecting this gopher. And as Mr. Weaver pointed out, the Department of Agriculture has been trying to kill this same pocket gopher for over 60 years. And it is unconscionable the grief that we have caused people by having these two government entities at odds wasting tax dollars in the millions and millions of dollars. So I would hope that we'd start paying attention to things like that really matter, the Nisqually River, salmon. I mean, we tolerate our neighbors to the north. It's bad enough at Cherry Point up at Seattle that they had a sewage spill that was an accident. But in Victoria, British Columbia, they dump hundreds of millions of gallons daily into the Strait of Juan de Fuca and into the Puget Sound. And nobody seems to care about that. We've really got our priorities mixed up, and I'd just like to point that out to those viewing this meeting today. Thanks.
So can I ask a question? Is it the Department of Agriculture is trying to eradicate or eliminate, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is trying to preserve and protect the gopher?
Yes, that is exactly right.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Currently today?
Currently today. Mr. Weaver, I think that last bit of information that you shared with me in the Kansas University, is that right?
It's archived
Nebraska.
at the University of Nebraska.
Nebraska. And I think the latest bit of information in this study that he referred to from 62 comes all the way up to 2017 as the most damaging rodent that the Department of Agriculture has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing their darndest to poison, trap, otherwise eliminate. And at the same time, the Department of the Interior is causing grief for everybody in the process of protecting that same critter.
In Thurston County?
Yeah, and right here in Thurston County. This is the only place, the pocket gopher lives all throughout the Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Same pocket gopher. Somebody has broken that down into 14 subspecies identifiable only by DNA. And they can't seem to come up with a study on that DNA breakdown because you can't have a legal take of a gopher. So you could be breaking the law. I think the Weavers have experience where their son lost property, has a criminal record, and I think about $20,000 in loss to them over this same gopher issue.
Okay, you've been busy. That's good. So what have I been doing? I was at the Olympian on our 27th March, and I issued the award to Stephanie Day posthumously to her parents. Stephanie is absolutely a hero as far as advocating for homelessness and getting a roof over someone's head in downtown Olympia. The homeless housing hub hosted it, and it was very, very well attended, and it was very good to be able to do that for her parents in her name. Also attended the Thurston Thrive Coordinating Council. Just in short, the Thurston Thrive Coordinating Council is a 24-member board that looks at Thurston Thrive initiative with the 8 teams, and we did some coordination, and this time we did it with the ERAT team. I know it's an acronym. It's the Education Resiliency Action Team. The kids team, the youth team, is what we really refer to it as, and gave a good briefing on where we're at for some of the things that are going on with those teams and how they interact with the youth, both in schools, home, and the communities. Moving on to later part of the week, I attended the Mayor's Forum for the Commission here, where we, every single mayor from the jurisdictions, to Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, Bucota, and Yelm. Unfortunately, Rainier was not there, but we talked about things that are in common across all the jurisdictions, be it crime, land use, traffic, water quality, all those things that, to include the gopher. and a particular interest in Tumwater and some of Lacey. And then latter part of last week, let's see, what was I able to do? Pretty much it. We had a GHHI meeting. So on the Housing Action Team, we have the Green Team, and we went over the Green and Healthy Housing Initiative. We have some skepticism about that program, and what that is for an assessment throughout Thurston County on certain rental properties to determine how those who are living in on that premise are becoming more unemployed because of health issues within that tenant's residence. Sounds like a little thing, but you'd be surprised how many people find themselves unemployed in terms of that. And so it's a little initiative we've taken underway, and we're looking really good about coming through with a study at the end of this year. So I'll leave it at that, and then ask the county manager if he has any update.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will walk you through your combined calendar. The appointments that I will highlight is at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. All right, starting today, March 14 at 3:30, you have a Board of Health. Tomorrow, March 15, 9 in the morning, you will have a briefing on the security projects for buildings 1 through 4 here at the courthouse campus. At 10 tomorrow, you have a briefing on the cannabis producer processor. That's a continued conversation and follow-up. At noon, you have elected officials meeting, luncheon, where you have many different topics to talk with your elected officials here in the county. At 1 in the afternoon, you will have another budget briefing. And at 2 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing from the bond council as to how the bonds are managed and operated here in the county. Thursday, March 16 at 10 in the morning, you will have a meeting, 30 minutes, where you consider candidates for the Public Works Director position. I will be providing you, hopefully this afternoon, some books for the applications that we have received, so I will appreciate a prompt review on that. Thank you. At 1 in the afternoon on Thursday the 16th, you will Commissioner Blake and Commissioner Hutchins will be attending the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization board meeting. At 2:30 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing on the interim permitting process related to the pocket gopher. That will be for the 2017 season. And again, this is just the interim process. It's not related to the Habitat Conservation Plan. On Friday, March 17, at 1 in the afternoon, the 3 of you have the Thurston County media taping, but you will have the opportunity to have a conversation among yourselves, and that will be televised in an upcoming dates and months. Saturday, March 18th at 5:30, you have the Thurston County Fair Foundation dinner auction. Moving on to next week. Monday, March the 20th, 8:30 in the morning, you will have a visit to the Rainier High School Youth Forum, and that will be from 8:30, just about 11 in the morning. And at 3 in the afternoon, you will have the Thurston Tribes Coordinated Council, and that will put us into next Tuesday, where you will review in the morning the agenda for the March 21st board meeting. That's all I have for you.
Great. Any other comments from anybody? No.
Yeah, with all this pocket gopher and intermediate plan and all that, I'm having intermediate dreams about this doggone rodent as well. And I just want to back up how frustrating it is, Gary.
You don't want to get me started yet. Next week is going to come up with a solution.
Now, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting of March 14, 2017.
I second that.
It's moved and second to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting for March 14, 2017. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Bye.